think that's hard. No way. The most expensive route.
I've slowed the transition down a lot on these.
Yeah, that needs to be, just a little more.
That's just the hello.
Yeah.
These will take ages. I press this and go through. Someone, maybe everyone here.
Oh, it's that.
Down.
Down there.
That's a nice picture.
Yeah.
That's
You're not supposed to smile, Chris. We're supposed to
Brian, what kind of sunflower?
Do you know where you are?
Sunflower.
A sunflower.
Hello, darling.
That's nice.
No, we haven't brought ours actually. No, we haven't. No. Yes, we have, yes.
Amazing flower. Oh, you'll have to send us some photos. Oh, we will. We'll Photoshop him in.
So,
You should do that. But yeah, they're
from our granddad.
so that's okay. He'll be happy. Whoever Brian is. Heather. Oh, that was handy. This is our friend. This is our friend.
Used to meet you. Well, we met them.
You did, yeah.
This is my older sister.
That's right. hope you'll get married.
Shove the photographer out of the way.
Yeah, fine.
Heather, Taylor.
I'll be gone this
You crack on.
going to get messy. Is it? Real moment. 8 o'clock, I've got off.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come when we welcome the bride and groom, Alan and Alison. And doesn't she look beautiful? Apparently she's... And doesn't she look beautiful? Apparently she's been practicing her bouquet throwing. All summer, it's cost Alan thousands in flowers, and the garden's ruined. As for the groom, have you seen him? Doesn't he scrub up well? Especially for a guy who likes climbing walls and sleeping in a tent big enough for a rabbit. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a huge round of applause for the bride and groom, Mr. and Mrs. Fisher. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as we hear a few words of prayer of thanks for God's grace from the father of the groom, Mr. David Fisher.
May we, O Lord, adopt thy creed, adapt our ways to serve thy need, and we who on thy bounty feed, improve in thought, in word, and deed. Amen.
Amen.
Take a firm hold. This is the last chance you'll get.
What did you just say? Take a firm hold. It's the last chance you'll get.
The official photographer.
We'll wait for Sarah to get. You ready, Sarah?
Yeah.
You like to smile on.
I'm trying to, but my face is.
You won't get crap.
All I can think is I think it's dead now.
Canada, Jersey, Alan for his negotiating skills, and Alison for her wonderful craft work, adding many personal touches to the day, and also to Julia and Mike for their help. Alison was born in 1981 at Harrogate Hospital. She caused quite a stir by her speedy arrival, taking only 1 hour and 15 minutes, giving just enough time to get to the hospital to be at Isabel's bedside. We brought her home the following day to join her big sister Julia. The baby years seemed to pass very quickly. Pretty soon Alison was a toddler, and Julia's mighty codes were joined by Alison's carebears and even more Mr. members. Not my own view. They are both very artistic, always creating all manner of things at the dining room table, using crayons, paper and scissors. Early one Sunday morning, the two of them were playing quietly, or so we thought. However, Alison had asked Julia to cut her hair. So she came back into the kitchen, sporting a very 80s hairdo. Almost bald at the throat, but left alone at the back. And I still don't know to this day how Julia managed to cut Alison's hair with a round, ended, Bugs Bunny scissors. Alison did very well at school, achieving the necessary A-levels to secure a place at Hull University. We're very proud that she graduated with a 2-1 degree in biomedical science. After university, she secured a position at Sheffield Northern Hospital, gaining valuable experience in a large hospital. The next position was at Scarborough Hospital. While she was there, she studied and achieved an MSc. Alison has recently taken a position at Harrogate Hospital, which is only a mile away from her new home at Stewie. Alison and Alan were part of a group of friends who met during their 6th year at St. Aidan's School. They shared an 18th birthday party with Becky, which was held at the hotel in Harrogate. It was a fancy dress party, and Alison went as a very glamorous nurse. With a blonde wig, very bright red lips, and sporting a large red cross on her head. This attracted many second glances as we drove through the town in our own Series 3 Land Rover. When I arrived to collect Alison for the party, she was in the centre of a group which included a young man who was rather worse than wear. That's unusual. Not Alan. Where's I get to that? Worse than wear, and this in a very limited skills. A rather comical sight. I thought I'd driven off the set for the carry on film. Alison and some of her friends met up again for a running party Mr. and Mrs. Fisher.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, man of the moment, on behalf of himself and his beautiful wife, the one and only, Mr. Bendy Legs, BGFA, Mr. Alan Fisher.
Ladies and gents, firstly, I'd like to thank Bill for his very kind words, and obviously for giving me his daughter's hand in marriage. It's lovely to see so many family and friends here today to help us celebrate the happiest day of our lives. I know some of you have travelled a long way to be here, and that really means a lot to us. Unfortunately, it's not been possible to have everyone we love here with us today, but they know that we're here. Sorry. But we know that they are here with us in spirit, and more importantly, they're in our hearts. So with them in mind, would you please all stand and raise your glasses? And join me in a toast to absent family and friends. You have a cheer for me. Sorry. We'd like to say a massive thank you to both our parents. On both sides, obviously. For everything they've done to make today happen. Both have been incredibly generous, and I'm not sure what we'd have done without them. I personally like to thank Bill and Isabel for bringing up such a lovely daughter, and thank you for making me both feel incredibly welcome. And of course, my mum and dad, who undoubtedly should receive a medal for endurance for what I've put them through during the years. So if possible, I believe those are some gifts back there. And they're obviously asleep. So, we'd like to present. Yeah, we'd like to present the washing up because they've obviously not done it so far. We'd like to present the fathers with a suitable engraved glass, and of course something to put in it. And I believe there are some flowers back there that Amy is dancing about with. Dan and Amy are bringing forward some flowers for our mums. Apart from my wife, among the many beautiful ladies here today are the bridesmaids, and we would like to thank them also for being wonderful. So please all stand and join me in a toast to Julia and Vicky. Now there is an unwritten rule of etiquette that states that nobody should look more handsome than the groom. And I'd like to thank our ushers, Dan and Stuart, and our best man John for sticking to that rule to the letter. I'd also like to thank them for organising my stag do, which I think my dad probably enjoyed more than anything else. John, I'm sure you will get to know too much about later on, because whilst he's telling you about me, you can't help but let some things slip. as he enjoys his cooking and camping in almost equal measure. Alison and I got him a small present. We decided on a cast iron Dutch oven. That's simply for his casseroles and bread making, and also if his speed goes too far, I can hit him with. So finally, I'd like to thank my wife for agreeing to marry me. I think you'll agree she looks absolutely gorgeous today. She took my breath away. If I had to single out one thing about why I love Alison so much, it would be the fact that she makes me feel happier than I ever dreamed. I intend to spend the rest of my life making sure that the reverse is also true. Having lived with Alison for a while now, I've learned a valuable lesson. When I'm wrong, admit it. And when I'm right, make the most of it. One of the joys of being a man is that weddings seem to organise themselves. I know that Alison's put a huge amount of work, a huge amount of effort into making today perfect, and I think she's done an amazing job. So I could please ask you to stand for one last time. So raise a glass. It's my wife, Alison. So my best man, for those of you who don't know, is also called Harry. And throughout the years, he's been there for me when it matters, and he's always ready with a welcome bottle of wine, beer, brandy, whiskey, whatever it takes, and some great food. However, there's something I need to make you aware of. Harry suffers from a strange condition that occasionally causes him to drift in and out of weird, strange flights of fantasy, often accompanied by photoshopped photos. He's been known to make up fictitious stories absolutely and he has an uncanny ability to convince 2 or 3 other people of this as well. As I say, he's been there for me, and I wouldn't want it to be upsetting him. So if you could bear with him, maybe you can join him on his journey of make-believe. I'd really appreciate it. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to John. Thank you.
So I need to ask for Stuart and Tom to come up here.
The other believers.
Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a presentation here, which will introduce the 3 of us, and then there'll be some images of a certain man in the room. But if you can't see them during the speech, don't worry, because they're going to just keep leaving. Probably until Alan switches it off. So I'll start that now, and then we'll have a couple of stories. Seems to be working. speech isn't that long, it's just in a large font because I didn't know how much wine I might have had by then. So my story happened a few years ago. That's probably about the third or fourth time I'd ever met Alan. David and Jenny were away on holiday, so Alan decided to do a barbecue and invite some friends around. I think you might know what I'm about to say. Anyway, for those of you that don't know, the Fisher's home garden, at the time of this particular barbecue, there was an area towards the back right, I think, of the garden, which has got lots of nice decorative gravel, upon which sits a really nice water feature. I haven't been there for a while, so I don't know if it's still the same now. Right. Anyway, if memory serves me correctly, it was a kind of half-barrel feature with a water spout. It was very nice. Unfortunately, I can't confirm the exact details of this water feature with either Alan or David or Jenny because of this speech. But moving on. As the evening of the barbecue progressed, I was admiring the water feature, and it reminded me of a story about a student in York who'd actually put a bottle of washing up liquid in the fountain in the street in York. And it caused the street to be closed down. I don't know if anyone remembers it. It was quite a big clean-up operation. After discussing this with Alan over several glasses of wine, he made what I can only describe as an inquisitive noise. I think he might have even scratched his chin at the time. I've since heard the same inquisitive noise on several occasions, mostly when Alan spots a particularly unusual dish on a restaurant menu, the one that probably most people would avoid, and usually it has offal in it. Anyway, back to the story. Alan disappeared into the kitchen after a conversation and reappeared shortly afterwards wielding a bottle of fairy liquid. I questioned him and I said, Alan, are you sure you want to do this? But because it was only the third time I'd ever met him, I didn't really want to tell him what to do. Alan poured a bit into the water feature, and to be honest, nothing really happened. So he then made a second slightly deflated noise and added more. We ended up watching it for a while, but we got bored and just gave up. It wasn't really doing what we thought. So the night progressed, it started to get cold. We actually went into the house, carried on partying, and after a while I went home and didn't really think any more about it. That was until the next morning. I received a rather panicked text message from Alan. It read something like, "How long did you say it took me to clean up that street in York?" I replied, "I'm not sure. Why is that?" Anyway, Alan then explained it more like he'd had a phone party than a barbecue. And David and Jenny were due back from holiday for 4 days. After about 3 days, the garden looked pretty much exactly as it had before, apart from the fact that some of the decorative stones around the water feature were now slightly cleaner. David and Jenny, I don't know to this day if you ever knew that. I'll now pass you over to Stewie. You might have to stop him talking because he doesn't like to talk.
Thank you, John. I think that was very amusing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to thank Alan and Alison for kindly asking me to stand up and say a few words. Now, I was asked to keep this clean, and I've had to go back 2 years to find a story which is acceptable to all age groups in here. Now, before I start with the story, I would just like to tell you a bit about Alan and how he got his nickname. And about 10 minutes ago, Sean introduced him as BGFA. Now, many of you in here will not know what BGFA stands for. If you do, can you put your hands up? Right. BGFA stands for Big Gay Fishy Al. And he's had this nickname for a good few years now. Now, the big obviously is big because he's big. The gay, well.
Very happy.
I was at a fancy dress party, it's a good few years ago now, and I think what this bird, she must have been about 7 6'6", she had a cracking pair of legs and a miniskirt right up to here. And she turned around and I thought, good grief, it wasn't a bird at all, it was Alan. And a fantastic pair of legs. I had a white face. Obviously, Fisher because he's Fisher and then because he's Al, so BGFA. Now, in order to obtain a nickname like that, it's got to go through a procedure. We just go about it on, it's got to go through a group of people like this. Now, this evening I would like to add an L onto the end. So, it's no longer called, actually, Big O is Fishy L. So it's Bokfer. Now, we're going to add an L onto the end and call him Bokfor. And the L is for legend. Because now he's in his mid-30s, I think it's time to put an L for legend. So, this has got to be a unanimous vote, so at least 5 or 6. So, those who are in favour of calling Alan a legend, and now his nickname is Bokfor, I'd like you to raise your right hand and say aye. Bokfor it is then. Right, sorry about that. Nothing quite so bad when the old tongue gets stuck to the top of your mouth. As we know, Alan works very hard and gets to go to some fantastic exhibitions, bridal fairs, outdoor events and this and that and the other. Get some really dirt cheap. Came down to our house one day with a rucksack, about that big. And in it, apparently, was all singing and dancing, tent, sleeping about, blah, blah, blah. And he had a sticker on the side that said, "He who dares wins." Anyway, Alan said, "You've got to see my tent." So I said, "Okay, then what's it look like?" He said, "I don't know, I'm seeing it myself." So he got this tent out, it was about the size of a bag of sugar. And he unzipped it, and we got to step back, because the tent came out on its own. It was quite incredible. One of the pop-up tents was just so tightly packed. It was incredible, and then it popped out. And he rolled it out, and it was about 7 foot long. And one pearl went one way, and another went the other way, just for the headroom. And that was it. So we decided that we'd go camping for a weekend and try it out. So Clyde, who's not here, he came with us. So we decided we'd go fishing. So we all packed our gear. I had 2 duvets, Clyde had 2 pillows, blah, 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 something like that. Alan had his rucksack and that was it. So we got to the campsite. Alan pitched his tent in about 10 seconds. Clyde and I took a bit longer. And then it got to about 7 or 8 o'clock, so we decided to go to the pub. Came back from the pub, and it was now getting to about -1, -2, something like that. So we thought we'd have a fire. Or Alan did. And the campsite was beautifully mowed. So we thought, well, we can't have a fire on this beautiful grass. So Alan said, "Oh, I've got a plan." So off we went to his van, and there was, is there noise? Can you hear me right at the back? Okay. Went back into his van. There's all this crashing and banging. So I went to have a look, and he's there. There's a 3-drawer filing cabinet in the back of his van. And he's there, and he's going like this, trying to pull out the bottom drawer, which he eventually succeeded in doing. You know about this, Jenny. This story is 99% true, I can assure you. Anyway, he manages to get the drawer out, and he mixed it with a tripod, and puts the drawer on, and then we lit a fire. And it got so cold, and it also got very smelly, because after about 5 minutes, the paint, or the plastic on the side of the drawer, caught fire. And the smell was horrendous, so Clive and I decided to go to bed. Separate tents. Alan decided to stay up, and he was sat there going like this, all the plastic fumes. So, then he eventually went to bed, and anyway, it must have been an hour or 2 later, this almighty crash, and yeah, the drawer fell off, but we thought, well, there's nothing to do about it. Anyway, about 4 o'clock in the morning, there's this was Alan. His feet were very, very cold because his rucksack did not contain a minus 25 degrees C sleeping bag. It wasn't there. So he actually had to take the sleeves up on his waterproof coat, put his feet in and climb into his tent, which wasn't very good because his feet were horrendously cold by all accounts. And so Clive shouted, "Oh, for God's sake, go out to bed, blah, blah, blah." Anyway, about 6 o'clock, we eventually got up and we sat in Clive's pickup, and we couldn't make a cup of tea because the gas had frozen. So we put the gas on the dashboard to defrost, which took about an hour and a half. So we had breakfast, and Alan got his feet thawed out. And this is no word of a lie, about 4 or 5 inches up his tent, it was absolutely white over. That's how cold it was. So anyway, we had breakfast, and then this was a fishing weekend, by the way. So when it came to getting our fishing tackle out, Alan had got his fishing tackle. And so Clive had a spare rod tip, which Alan threaded the line through. And so we're all sat there, the three of us, fishing away. And after a bit, we went our separate ways. Clive went one way, I went another, and so did Alan. And we weren't catching anything at all. I got a text message from Alan, who's, by the way, only 20 yards away. And he said, and the text said, "I know why we're not catching any fish." So I sent the text message back, "Why?" He said, "Because I've been watching two otters for the last half hour." So that was that. Anyway, we got ourselves back together, and Alan decided we would go and make a bite to eat. Do you remember this, Alan?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so do I. So Alan went back to the tent and decided to make a bite to eat. 45 minutes later, he landed back. 3 mugs of tea, a loaf of bread, a tub of butter, a knife, and 3 hard-boiled eggs. So we're all there gathered together, and we kicked over the giant tube of Smarties which we brought, and they spilled over into the maggots. Into the maggot thing. So we fished the Smarties out, we put those back into the blew the sawdust off and put them back into the tube, which was most important. And then Alan gave me and Clive a hard-boiled egg, and I tapped mine on my foot to break the shell, and the whole contents of the egg just came out. I've never seen anything like it. And Clive did the same. And Alan, who had seen what happened, decided he would crack his egg into the bread and ate it. And then it came to the tea, and I took a mouthful of my tea and I just spat it out. It was absolutely gross. I've never tasted anything so disgusting in all my life. And I said, "How did you cook the eggs, Alan?" He said, "Well, I put them in a pan of water and cooked them for 3 minutes, but he didn't bring the water to boil." But when the water did come to boil, he said, "Well, I used the water to make the tea." And that was it. So after about another 20 minutes or so of fishing, we decided to call it a day and we went home. We've never been back since. Thank you very much.
Harry invited me to tell a story from Alan's stag do. Story, indeed. A true story from the not from the land of fantasy. First of all, I'd like to thank Harry for inviting me on the stag do and giving me the opportunity to embarrass Alan. It's always good. For those of you that don't know, the stag do involved going to the Lake District, doing a bit of canoeing, learning how to do bushcraft, building fire in rain that was pretty much going this way, and also I learned how to drink like a true Burswithian that weekend. So as you can imagine, there was 18 blokes, lots of lager, and quite a few baked beans, but I'll come back into it later. On the final day of the stag do, we took a trip from the Lake District through the villages of Yorkshire and back into Harrogate, stopping off at various pubs along the way and having some pleasant beers and having a really good time. We finished by having a night out in Harrogate, going to a few bars, pubs, but when we arrived at the last bar, someone had gone missing, and we weren't sure where our stag had got to. So I took it upon myself to go and try and find him. Indeed. So I eventually found Alan in an establishment called the Viper Rooms, if you know it, on a very big space that he created for himself on the dance floor. Now, if anyone's been on a night out with Alan, they know that he's got some very unique dancing moves. My favourite one of which, and hopefully we'll get to see it later, is the one where Alan somehow manages to go right down onto his knees, spring himself back up again really fast. But due to a very long pub crawl and a few hours of drinking beer, he was going down onto his knees and he was unable to get himself back up again. And at this point it developed quite an audience as everyone was watching it and coming up to me and saying, "Your friend's really funny. He just dances a lot and he doesn't even care what anybody thinks." So Alan at this point, on the space of the dance floor, on his knees, unable to stand up because his legs had given up on him, resorted to just leaning backwards and doing a bit of egg. The bouncer came over and just whispered in my ear, "Is that your mate?" "Yeah, but let him off, it's his stag do." "Alright, well, you better tell him to stop dancing or you guys are out." "Alright, I'll tell him to stop." So I walked into the space and sort of grabbed Alan and went, "Alan, shall we go get a drink?" "No! I'm dancing! I'm going to carry on dancing!" "Okay, mate." So I stepped back and stood with a crowd of people watching Alan and enjoying his dance moves. And this carried on for a bit, and then I noticed opposite me, the people on the other side of the circle started doing this. And then this smell drifted over. And I realised that 2 days of beer and baked beans had finally caught up with him. And I sort of looked around, not really sure what to do. And I looked back into the space on the dance floor and I couldn't see Alan, I could just see lots of people going. And when I did find Alan, he'd found a wall, he'd leant up against it, and he'd bent his knees all the way down, put his head in his hands, and his hands on his knees, and he was curled up in a little ball. And me being the great mate that I am, instead of taking the blame for this smell, sort of went, "It was him!" At which point the bouncer came back and said, "I think it's time to leave, boys." So Alan, you are my only friend that has ever been kicked out of a drinking establishment for flatulence. And that's the story.
Thank you, chaps. Well, it seems we've all taken the mick up now for about 15 or 20 minutes. I think it's time that we raise a toast to Alan. To Alan,